So the NFL draft is almost here, and most of these young players, bro, like they gonna need to be able to like contribute to some of the NFL teams that's gonna draft them, especially in the first round because they the ones that like you want to be like they want stars or cross your fingers Hall of Famers and stuff like that. But like there's teams in the NFL that need like more than just impact players. They need like other starters like in the later round to actually be contributors right then and there, become a championship caliber team. So I came up with teams that like for all different reasons. I came up with teams that need to have a great draft this year because obviously you don't want to spend too much money on free agency because you be just overpaying people that like you don't need to pay to where like you can just save money to where you can just have your homegrown people there. But with that being said though, man, I just want to get the formalities out of the way, and if you actually mess with the video, man, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and share the videos for more videos like this, and we're just gonna go ahead and get it started. The Buffalo Bills are obviously on this list for like one of the big reasons is because they are retooling this year, given the fact that like most of the players they had, most of the vets they had, they're like getting up there in age to where like they weren't either producing the way they were or they were just injury prone or both, to where they were just too much money to where they could just save, so they had to get rid of most of them players. And just this is what happens when you go for it with a young QB at the time with Josh Allen, because after you pay him and plus you pay big dollar for Von Miller, you're gonna have to get rid of most of these vets just to save money for the future, just to keep your Super Bowl window up. Now with them losing a lot of players and stuff like that through the free agency, man, nothing bigger than them trading away Stephon Diggs. To which they traded him away, given the fact that like he became more of a distraction than anything else, to where like he actually ended up having the biggest cap hit for a non-QB in NFL history, which is insane to me. So this year is really going to be a difficult year, given the fact that like Stephon Diggs, whenever he did show up for the Buffalo Bills, he definitely was a big contributor to them, given the fact that like he had at least close to 160 targets every year since he's been there, and he's been a multiple time Pro Bowler and been an All Pro player for them too when he was there for them. So it's going to be a real difficult transition for him. Also, given the fact that like they don't even have Gabe Davis anymore too, so like they definitely need a wide receiver to replace them too, at least one of them. Then of course on the defensive side too, they got rid of that safety duo of Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer, and then of course Tre'Davious White, who just can't just stay on the field at all. He ended up getting released too after paying them big money too, so they need to have a complete overhaul on the defense too. All in all, this is going to be a really difficult season for them. They need to have that 2017 New Orleans Saints type of draft to where like, even though I do believe in Josh Allen, with him at QB, you always have a chance to win the division. Now we're moving on a team that like failed to do the same thing, except for Kyler Murray though. Case like they already paid him and stuff like that, but like they have not drafted well ever since Kyler Murray became the QB for the Arizona Cardinals. Now with them having Monty Ossenfort and of course Jonathan Gannon at the helm, bro, like they actually might be looking better than they should in the past few years. Because I ain't gonna lie, like them two in the front office, especially Jonathan Gannon being the head coach, like they kind of give me hope in the Arizona Cardinals, because like now with Kyler Murray, within him being in his new contract now, like they had to hit the draft picks now, because they can't just sign like multiple guys that they really want to. I mean they can, but like I much rather hit in the draft than like having to like hit the free agency market every year. Now what also encouraged me is the fact that like Jonathan Gannon being that good of a head coach, he gave me that like Dan Campbell vibe, to where like they'll play for him and stuff like that, and they'll play even harder than they should, which some of the players that wouldn't be on rosters for real like that actually play a lot better than they should. So like you seen last year when Kyler Murray came back, where they actually won against basically most of the playoff teams, so like where they're at least competitive against most of these teams. Like they're a team that like when their roster is still not that good yet, they have a chance to like actually like do something in this draft. Especially since the fact that like they actually have a lot of draft picks this year, so like they could really like stick and pick at number 4 to take Marvin Harrison Jr. or even trade back. They did last year, trade back up in the top 10 to get like an offensive lineman or one of those receivers. Like they can do wherever they want this year, given the fact that they have a lot of picks in a very loaded draft. So like they picked the right pieces, bro. Like they could be with the thick and things, like battling for the wild card spot for playoffs, man. Possibly division too. Like you never know. But all in all, man, I'm very excited for the Arizona Cardinals team, and I'm really excited about how Kyler Murray's gonna play this coming season. Now from a former number one overall pick to another number one overall pick a few years ago, Trevor Lawrence actually coming into his fourth season in the NFL, and he's up for a contract extension soon. And I've been hearing reports that he actually might get that deal done within the next few months. So with that being said, especially since the fact that like they already had the 50 option locked up for him, and he's gonna get a new deal soon, they kind of have to hit in the draft this year because the fact that like they want to be in a situation where like to be in the Buffalo Bills or even worst case scenario, there's the Cardinals where like the roster's that bad to where like they're gonna have to like retool in the worst way. And honestly, like it's just me being a Jacksonville Jaguars fan, but like whenever Trent Baalke does something like good, he always follow up with doing something like that's like totally been bad for us. For like last year when we actually made the playoffs, stuff like that, like you did some good. Christian Kirk emerged a lot more as one of the better slot receivers in the league. Then, of course, the following year, he did nothing, just sit on his hands and then just relied on the draft pick to hit, to which not a lot of them really hit at all. And then, given the fact that like we actually botched the whole Kevin Ridley situation to where like he ended up signing with division rival Tennessee Titans, like we ended up having a whole need of a receiver more than we should. I mean, like, no offense to Gabriel Davis. I mean, he's a really good receiver who's actually an X for us that we desperately needed for a good minute. But, like, I mean, he's not going to be that number one that, like, truly take us over the top for real. That's just me being honest. But, yeah, what I'm basically saying is the fact that, like, the Jacksonville Jaguars have to, like, really do something because they do not want to go on this whole rabbit hole where they have to retool within the next few years because they missed in this draft, man. Like, it's going to be hard to recover, especially given the fact that like Trevor Lawrence is going to be within that whole deal starting within 2 years. And of course, like the last thing you want to be in the NFL is no man's land. So like you do not want to be a mid-team like within the next 3 years because if that happens, bro, like it's going to be no way you're escaping that unless you actually rebuild again. So better hope they actually do something this year. Now on to the last team, bro. That's the Carolina Panthers. And just like Trevor Lawrence's rookie season, Bryce Young had a very, very, very forgettable season, bro, as he struggled basically all year long. Now, obviously, part of it is because of the fact that, like, Frank Reich being the head coach, which is a bad decision all around, stuff like that, but, like, also given the fact that, like, they basically botched the whole, like, draft thing for real, where they traded their first round pick for the next year, which ended up being the number one overall pick, to which Caleb Williams is going to be a Bear now, so that was insane to think about. And then within that same trade, you end up trading away your best receiver in DJ Moore, to which you end up creating yourself a bigger hole at wide receiver than you should. So you end up trading for Deontay Johnson, to which he can separate, but you still need another receiver to separate for y'all. And then don't even get me started though, Brian Burns ordeal thing too, where like they could have 2 first round picks from the LA Rams, but end up getting day 2 picks instead, given the fact that like y'all wait too long to sign them to a new deal or even trade them for that matter. With new management up front, like they're gonna have to make something shake this year because like even though it's too early to like, you know, put that much pressure on the Carolina Panthers, like you go into Bryce Young's second year, and if he continues to struggle, especially with a roster that's been being even worse over the years, like it's not gonna look good for the franchise, especially since the owner David Tepper has become one of the worst ones in the league. And honestly, it's not impossible for them to actually have a good draft either because we've seen the LA Rams, they had some good drafts too, hit on some players that they didn't have a first round pick for like the span of like 6 years. So I believe the Carolina Panthers for sure they could do something. So those are a few teams I actually want to touch base on, to which I feel like they need to like do something to hit in this draft because the fact that like the future endeavor is like just depends on it for real. Now obviously there's teams that like probably should be on the list too, like what I said. So like if you think there's a team that I missed that I should have talked about in this video, man, just go ahead and comment down below. Just give me your opinions on teams that need to hit on this draft. But with all that being said though, man, I appreciate y'all watching the video, man. If you mess with the video though, man, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and share the videos for more videos like this. And that's your next video.